Hey guys, my name is Nick Martire. I'm the co-founder of Norda. Was born in Canada. I'm a lifelong shoemaker, endurance athlete, uh, father of two girls. My wife is the co-founder, and we run a company together with our team. Yeah, we love running and we love shoemaking. So yeah, Norda. Norda was officially launched in 2021, but it was actually a conversation with my wife and co-founder and I that went on for like 15 years. Like trail running's our sport, and every time we would go running, she would say to me at the end of the run, like, "Hey, we know how to make shoes. Like, can't we just like make better shoes than this?" Like we knew that like better midsole foams existed. We knew that better soles existed. And, the problem was like every shoe company in the industry is like $1 billion company and it's very hard to get into. So I don't know if it was like an excuse or I was just waiting for the right moment. But my answer was always, yeah, but what's our technology going to be? Anyway, fast forward like 15 years and we got to like 2018, 2019. It was kind of like the right moment. And yeah, it just seemed like the right moment. And we decided to launch into it together and to create Norda at that time. And I guess what enabled us or gave us the confidence to do it is we found some of the lightest, strongest materials on earth. Our shoes are made of Dyneema. It's the lightest, strongest fiber. We're the first people ever to do that. And yeah, I mean, I guess it just all came together. We created Norda and we launched in 2021, but rewind back to February 2020, right before the pandemic, and there was this interesting moment. I was with Louis Martin Tremblay. He's our head of design. He's our partner in Norda. He was one of the founding team of Norda. The two of us were in Italy. We were there for the MICAM Footwear Trade Fair. We were actually consulting for two other shoe companies at the time. And we said on the last day we were going to go up to Lamazzo. We were going to go see this like graphene company just north of Milan. And so Louis and I go up there. We meet this amazing company. We see some of like the coolest technologies on earth. And we had the idea we're going to put graphene in our sole, but they showed us something really cool. They showed us graphene in a membrane that went into the upper. So I just remember this distinct moment where Louis and I are walking out of this office and we've seen like some of the coolest stuff on earth. And I say, Louis, are we going to do this or what? And he says to me, he turns and he looks at me in the eye and he says, I want to do it, but I don't want to do anything that's bullshit. He said, I only want to make the finest. And if you want to make the finest with me, let's go do it. And that was like sort of the penultimate moment where we decided to embark on Norda. And that's why we're committed, and everything we do, it has to be the finest. Yeah, so look, Norda's all about innovation. And, as you said, we wanted to make the finest. We want to make the finest. We're committed to doing that. And so part of that was doing all the research and finding the lightest, strongest materials that exist. Because, if you think about sport, the Olympics, it's all about Citius, Altius, Forius. It's the highest, fastest, strongest. So yeah, we just wanted to find like the coolest materials. And so we found Dyneema. And, let's tell you a true story. So I ordered some Dyneema pieces and they show up at the house and like, I have this grand vision, like I'm going to make shoes out of Dyneema. And I get Dyneema composite pieces. And if you've ever felt them, they feel like tent material or backpack material. They're quite hard and rigid. And so I get them and I'm like, this might be a little bit harder than I thought. So fast forward, I ended up speaking to some people who are experts in Dyneema, and they gave us the key. They were like, you have to weave it. And so then we basically spent about a half year finding people in the world that could weave it. That was not very easy. Dyneema is very strong. It's like a fishing line or something like that. And when you weave it with nylon or other materials, it usually breaks the other material. So there's really only like two companies that can weave the Dyneema. So we finally get a piece of woven Dyneema, and then you try to make this thing into a shoe. And look, we just have an amazing team. We have some of the most passionate shoemakers. The fellow who owns the factory and his right arm, these two people, They're also very avid athletes, and so like they were testing the shoes on the weekend themselves. And it's one thing, like we were a small team of four that started this company, but we spent our whole lives basically, to get to this stage. And yeah, I guess it was a whole life of practice and whatever to get to this. And yeah, and here we are. And now we've launched Norda, and we're committed still to making the lightest, fastest, and strongest and most durable shoes that we can. So how do we do this? I've spoken a lot about team and stuff like that. Look, we were tiny. We were four people that went on this crazy mission, and we were like, all right, let's see if this works, right? And so eventually it started to click, and we eventually grew our team. I would say we haven't placed one advertisement really to recruit anyone. Everyone that's on our team was actually handpicked, or whether it's Adam, who's our brand director. He came to us, and we came to know him over a couple of years, and a gentleman who's sitting beside me right now, Ross, who's our head of PR and communications. We came to know Ross over many years because he worked with a publication that we were working with. But when it comes to the actual making of the shoes, I can be transparent with you. We have our elite team, but we really have a great team of shoemakers. But I also work with two incredible athletes. One is Jason Szilard, and the other one is Ray Zahab. And I don't mind, I can share their names because don't worry, there's no brand that's getting to them. They're part of our inner family and our inner circle. It's really interesting because Jason is, one of the greatest ultra runners, top American of all time, podium just 2 years ago at Hard Rock, top 4 position at UTMB, just incredible results. So it's really interesting because sometimes a lot of elite athletes, they could, like, I always say they could run in Crocs taped to their feet and they'll still win the race. But, it's really amazing because I think Jason's one of those few athletes who can actually give us feedback. So he brings a really interesting element. The other side is Ray Zahab. Ray Zahab is an incredible ultra athlete, one of the world's greatest living explorers. He has all the records across all the deserts. He ran across the Sahara. It's a crazy story. If you ever get a chance, go Google running the Sahara. He ran 150 marathons. That was 150 marathons back to back, day after day. It was something crazy, like 7,000 kilometers across the Sahara Desert in summer. Like, it's just mind-boggling. So for us, it's really the juxtaposition of, like, it's one thing of like fast elite racing, but it's like, Ray's aspect of like taking these shoes across Death Valley, north to south, east to west. Ray doesn't wear socks, by the way. And it's just like some crazy stats. So, it's great when some other brands are saying, oh yeah, we're pushing our shoes to the hardest. Okay, well, take your shoe across Death Valley and then tell me if it survived. There's another cool story I just want to share, which is there's an incredible athlete named Jason Hardrath. Okay, Jason, in the early days of the FKTs or the last few years, all these athletes are going off and doing SKTs. I think Jason was the first athlete to ever hit 100. And he did this thing a couple years ago called the Norman 13s. It's 13 summits of the highest summits chained together nonstop in Colorado. It took Jason like 3.5 days. He took one pair of Nordas, because if you want to do an FKT solo and unsupported, you can't have any external support. And it was very important that he could choose Norda, because after you see what that shoe looked like and it was still fully intact, I'm telling you, there's no other shoe on earth that could have done that. So his attempt, if he would have had other shoes, would have counted, but it would have counted as a solo supported effort. And that's totally different than solo unsupported. I don't need to tell the team what to do. Our team of now 18 people around the world, many of them have worked together with Willa and me, Louis. We've been working together for 15 years. There's one member of our team, Estelle. She's been working with Willa and I for 20 years. almost the entire inner circle of Norda has been with us for 15 years. So we worked in other companies. And I think a very strong team, small, tight, woven team is one that's been through hell and back together. And we've been through a lot of other challenges in other companies. So I don't need to dictate the culture of the team. The team dictates the culture of our company. And I think that's a very important thing because we've been through a lot of stuff together. We've been through crazy success. We've been through some challenges. And now we're working our butts off and we're having good success, but it's not without tremendous hard work. On the product side, somebody said to us once, every shoe that you release is better than the last one. And I think it's an important philosophy for us because like after you release like 4 shoes, people are like, well, you know, shouldn't you make an opening price point shoe? And like, shouldn't you just go wide and what? Sell out? Like, no, we have zero interest. I mean, if I go back to that early conversation with Louis and me, it was just like, we only want to make Lamborghinis. And I'm not just saying, I don't just want to make expensive stuff. It's not about that. Like everything has a cost. I'm just talking about a $300 shoe, you know? And then if you just look at the materials that we're using, they are the finest. And I'm not telling you our shoes are going to last 1,000 kilometers. Go ask anyone who has a pair at Nordas, because they're the only brand that actually do. And there's countless reviews and there's countless photos, and you know, there's hundreds of thousands of people who now have the shoes. So that's the product aspect. And you ask me like from a brand aspect, oh, that's the easy one. It's the easy one because Willa, who's the co-founder of Norda, also happens to be my wife. If you think I'm tough, you got to meet Willa because she's tough as nails. And there is not an inch of flexibility. Like, this is our passion. This is our company. This is our brand. Like, there is no wavering on our values. You know, you get pulled in all these different directions, and at the end of the day, we're not that young anymore. We're not spring chickens. We've been to that rodeo, you know? And so now this is just about legacy, and we're just committed to making the finest. And yeah, I don't think you can mess with that recipe. It's interesting, and I'll tell you transparently, when I did a lot of research, we did a lot of research while we were creating Norda, and I think a big inspiration for me, I've never met the person, but Yvon Chouinard, who's the founder of Patagonia, you know, he's known as this very eccentric dude. And, you know, he built the company with his team, and he just built it his way, you know, and he's written that incredible book, Let My People Go Surfing. And we're kind of like these quirky, eccentric people in a sense. Like, you know, there's not many entrepreneurs who you just classify as, you know, your normal run-of-the-mill, everyday people. You know, we're special in our own way. We're committed to what we were doing. You know, you're kind of in those positions where people tell you, oh, like, your idea is crazy. It's never going to work. You know, and they tell you it's crazy, and you're like, I think I've hit that moment, because if it's not crazy enough for like, you know, this overly cautious person, then the idea is just not good enough. But you know, where do we want to go? I think Yvon Chouinard as the founder. Again, I haven't yet had the opportunity to meet him, but it's been a big inspiration for me and for us in terms of the values that we want to communicate. Yeah, and we just want to make the finest. So very simply, I would just love for, it's not for me to say, I'm telling you what I'm dreaming of us being, but that doesn't mean anything. The only thing that matters is what the community says, because there's a famous expression that a brand is not what you say it is, it's what they say it is. So when we get to the point where the community is now saying, and I think we're almost there, where the community is now saying, no, Norda are the makers of the finest, then that's it. Then we will have arrived. Don't worry, we're not stopping. We're very young, we're keeping going, but I think for me that's the key moment, is when they say we are makers of the finest.
Legend.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks,
Thank you very
brother.
much. Appreciate it.
Sorry.
That was really, really good.
Yeah,
that was really good.
I'm a bit of a quirky dude. So
Really good. That was the money shot at the end. He was like, I'm going to leave you with this. I was like, yes.
Yeah.